How's it going, guys? I've got Tim Gillingham here. He just won his division. How was the shoot-off?
Well, the shoot-off was a little lackluster. I had a pretty big lead, so I didn't get too aggressive. I was hitting a little bit high over here, so I was a little nervous going to the uppers right out of the gate. So I started on the lowers, and I think by the time I got all said and done, I think I was hitting about 3/4 of a yard high. I hit the last 12 finally, so. But I'm glad I didn't have to push it at all. So.
Yeah, I saw that. As far as your preparation for the event, how was it?
Well, I mean, I prepared overly. I mean, I shot break the barriers last weekend, come home, made adjustments to the setup from an 80% to a 75 mod. And the bows, got the bow lined out. I actually changed from the last tournament. I changed triple X's, but I shot them in break the barriers also. So I shot 190 grains in triple X's, went to 70 pounds, and so I think they got the bow shooting really well.
You got 190 grains in right now?
Yeah, shooting about 280.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
So
I've got 160s in mine.
Yeah, so it's good in the wind, and it's good just forgiving setup. So.
Yeah, totally. So I've seen a couple of new things on your bow, specifically these clamps holding the limbs down. There will be a little picture of that. Tell us about that.
Well, it's just a bracket to mount a limb saver. I got my launcher or my limb or my Hamsky rest mounted into it also. So just a bracket in there that I've been playing with.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
Just an idea I had. I just tested out.
Sure. Does it help with like the camling and stuff? Or?
No, not really. I mean, camling's, I don't think it has anything to do with camling, but just trying to, tighten up any vibration and things like that. I think it helps a lot with that. So.
Gotcha. So as far as your prep with shooting day one and then day two, like how was the difference between the two ranges, C and D range?
Yesterday I felt like was a little bit easier. Both days I started out with 6/12s in a row to start with. I mean, it's probably my best start consistently in 2 days, hardly ever, so.
Sure.
And it's nice when you get off to an early lead and, you can kind of build on it. Today's was a little longer. The lighting on the one side was a little rough, with the sun in your face, but, all in all it was good. I almost got towards the end there, and I was 40 up with 5 to go, and I thought, man, that'd be cool if I could make it a 50. And I hit the first 4, and then the last target, a 45-yard javelina, and I shot an 8 out the top by just a whisker. So
did you push up on it or what?
No, I don't know. It was just I couldn't see a lot on the target because the known pro target guys, you guys shoot the targets the first day, so it beats up all the detail on the animal.
Sure.
So a lot of times we're just looking at, smudges and stuff on the target. So I think I got a little hot on it, but I might have been starting to creep into that high miss that I was seeing here. Like, maybe something got off a little bit on the bow. I don't know.
Potentially, sure.
But all my misses, all my 8s this weekend were high. So not 100%.
Do you shoot lowers?
I shoot 100% uppers this weekend.
Did you?
I don't think I shot a single lower. Maybe one. No, I did shoot 1 or 2. Yeah.
Turkey?
Short ones. I don't remember what they were.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But I mostly shoot uppers.
Awesome. So are you excited for Reading?
I actually thought I had a week and a half, and I know I got 2 days, so yeah. I'm just going to shoot this bow with triples, probably out to 45 yards and a Pierce. I did that at Break the Barriers. I'll shoot a Pierce Tour with a sight tape on the left side of their sight.
Yes.
And I think it'd be a good setup overall. I've never tried that out there, so.
That'd be interesting.
I think that setup is absolutely hammering. So.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good for some of the shots. So.
Have you ever ran that kind of point weight before in your triple X's?
Oh yeah.
For this stuff, really?
Yeah.
Well, you've ran like 80 grains in the
Well, it's different in known. See, in known, we don't have to play the speed game.
Yeah, right.
There's a speed threshold that I look for. I like to stay around 275, 285, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I want that arrow as heavy as I can get it with a heavy point weight and do that. So, the criteria is, do I want to pull 70 pounds? If I only want to shoot 65, then I can only do so much.
Sure.
So, all that stuff comes into play. So.
Sure. So, with your setup going into London, any changes that you're...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, London's lighting's rough, so I will probably build a second sight with a 6-power.
Okay.
And I will probably shoot a 6-power in the round, but I'll switch to a 7-power for the shoot-off.
Okay. So you're used to the 7-power for most stuff.
Yeah, because when I shot a 6-power most of my pro career, but when I had this eye surgery, I get a little bit of my right eye is a little blurry. So if I bring it in with a 7 power, it's still a little blurry, but I can kind of see through the blur a little bit. So I can see a lot of the rings, so it helps me a little bit.
Okay.
But we go to London and the lighting's bad. You need to see your leg line and the top and the bottom of the animal so that you can kind of segment them off.
You do preach about that. It's super important.
And I shoot all my IBO tournaments that way with a 5 power. I don't go above 5 power because you can't see any detail on the animals anyway. So, I need to see that leg line. So
Okay.
I've thought about shooting a 5 there. I don't know. I kind of like the power. So we'll see what happens.
So which aperture, clarifier, and pin size you're going to run for London using that 6 power?
I run a 39 thou fiber with a C clarifier. So that C clarifier washes the 39 down a little bit.
Okay.
This is the first tournament I ever shot red. I like it. I'm running a Verde Plus 7 power. I run Verde Plus lenses.
Okay.
And a Hamsky 532 aperture. So I like a big hole. Big hole's bright sight picture. So if you get a small hole, you're going to have a dark sight picture.
Sure.
So, 3D, you're better off with a big scope and a big aperture.
So you're going to run that 39 pin for with that 6 power?
No. When I run a 6 power, I'll drop down to a 19.
A 19.
Yeah.
And a B clarifier.
B clarifier, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I run an A plus for a 5.
Solid. That's really good stuff. That's going to help out a ton of people.
That's most people. Most people are going to fall right in that.
Sure.
Some of that depends on your peep to scope length. Mine's not overly long because I shoot my scope so close to the bow. So I think I'm running around 32, 33 inches.
Sure.
So.
Awesome. Do you have any other comments?
Nope, just finally just feel like I'm building some confidence going into the rest of the year. I feel like, got a lot of the work stuff grind, caught up. So,
Sure.
Just really looking forward to, finishing out the year strong, starting the IBO season. IBO starts here in 3 weeks, so I got to get home and start judging yardage too. So that takes a little bit of effort. So.
Sure. Yeah.
So I got a cool setup for that this year. I'm going to shoot 110 grains in the front of a XXX.
Okay.
Tentatively, and then I'm going to run a Pierce on the same bow. So I got it